Welcome to today's episode of the Daily Coffee Pro by Maple Forward, friends. Today on the podcast, we're talking about the number one mistake that pretty much every single first-time business owner in the coffee industry makes. And usually they don't know that they have made this mistake until years down the track. But if you speak to anybody that is in the coffee industry as a business owner and you ask them, I would hedge my bets that this is the one thing that they will tell you was the mistake that they made. And that is that they didn't know how much they didn't know. And it's not just a coffee industry thing, but it is mostly a coffee industry thing. Not knowing how much you don't know is a very dangerous place to find yourself in as a business owner and could put you in somewhat of a black hole that is very difficult to get out of. So why is this a problem and why is it a mistake that most people that get into coffee make? The answer is simple. The barrier to entry for our industry is so low that as long as you have the money to become a business owner and you can make it to often the hard steps of opening a business, you can open a business. The hard steps are coming up with an idea and just surviving the fit out of the business, which are hard for some people, but not for most. So that although it's a barrier to entry, isn't that huge a hurdle to climb. It is hard though for some people. It's not until they're in the business and they are running the business that they come to realize that there was far, far more to running a coffee-centric business than they thought. And in a future episode of the podcast, we're going to talk about the very disturbing trend that is happening right now where we are seeing an astronomical number of people entering our industry with no experience. My fear is that they're going to suffer the same fate as what those of us that came before them suffered as well. And what we're trying to do with Maple Forward is make sure that less people have to experience the same kind of mistakes that we've made. And if you are thinking about opening a coffee-focused business and are unaware of the things that you have to know, I would encourage you to join one of the mastermind groups that we have going, because a lot of first-time business owners are joining these groups before they open their businesses so that they can better prepare for it. Not knowing what you don't know is super dangerous when it comes to business, because what's happening is that people are taking the opportunity because they've been forced out of their jobs, they're taking the opportunity to start a business, because how hard can it be to roast coffee and sell it to your friends? It is a lot harder than you might think. And that's purely because there is so much to learn. And everybody that I speak to that has been successful in this industry, bar maybe one person who had been working under his father's hand, as we say in Arabic, working under his hand since he was 4 years old. He was aware of what it was to open his own business because he'd been in his father's businesses for many, many years before he was of age to open his own businesses. So he knew what was coming, and it was still really hard for him. But most people tell me again and again and again, I had no idea it was going to be this hard. I had no idea what I didn't know. So what are some of the things that most of us didn't know coming into business for the first time? Number one, not knowing how to read financial statements and how important it is to know that before you open your doors. Knowing how to read a profit and loss statement, knowing how to understand a cost breakdown analysis, knowing what a balance sheet is and why it's important. These are things that are integral to running a business. It's so important to know these things from the day that you open or before you open your business. The next thing, the intricacies of the coffee value chain. They are so difficult to navigate, and yet to understand how you impact that and the damage that you may be doing with some of your supply chain practices, whether it be the coffee industry or whether it be the other agricultural products that you are buying, if you have a full service restaurant or cafe, can be incredibly damaging. And not knowing the impact of that and how that will, when little things change within those value chains, not knowing how that will affect your business is a deep hole that's hard to get out of when it starts to go the wrong way. Or the hidden costs that are involved in running a business are another thing that you just don't think to get your head around before you open a business. Things like the different taxes that you may be up for paying, the different kinds of insurance and what the difference between good insurance and average insurance is, and why it's important to have really good insurance, the hidden costs of having employees, the hidden costs of running a website, the hidden costs of packaging, and all of the other kinds of hidden taxes that are involved in doing this. And the time, actually one really, really important one is the hidden time costs that you never anticipate are going to be a burden on you far beyond what you could anticipate. The other thing that I want to add to this list is that people come into this thinking it's going to be hard. But most of us don't know exactly how much of our lives are going to be overrun by running your first business. You are learning so many new skills for the first time. How to communicate with people, how to balance a million things that are up in the air all at the same time, how to speak to legal people and accounting people and suppliers and all this kind of stuff. A lot of us, well, everyone I've spoken to didn't know how hard it was going to be when they were navigating their business for the first time. So if you are a first-time business owner, and you haven't had any experience in coffee, you are going to find it even more difficult than the person that does have experience in the coffee industry. Not knowing how important it is to have a network of people that you can lean on, that you can call on, that you can ask for support from within the industry is probably the number one thing that I have heard people complain about, wishing that they knew before they got into this industry. Excuse me. A lot of them say that they found coffee people to be exceptionally welcoming up to a point. And when push came to shove, they were on their own. Versus people who had already been in the industry and found it easier to find staff and understand how to read whether those staff knew what they were talking about or not. So I hope this has all been helpful, and I hope that this has helped you if you are considering becoming a business owner for the first time and in the coffee space and are unsure of which way to navigate that. I want to reiterate something. I don't want less people to be successful or to open businesses in the coffee industry. I want more people to open successful businesses or businesses that have the greatest potentiality for success in the coffee industry. Our tagline and Map It Forward is conspiring to each other's success. And so what I would want for people is to spend more time upfront in the planning phase so that they understand what's required to give themselves a better chance at a more successful business so that they are not blindsided by what's coming. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.